Is the new Kimber 2K11 double stack magazine, is the grip actually narrower than what a traditional single stack 1911 is? You might be surprised, but let's check it out. Welcome back to Smok'n Jay's Garage. Today we have the Kimber 2K11. This is a very sharp looking gun. We do a couple of variations to it. We have the stainless one with, I'm not going to really call it a polymer grip, although it feels and looks a little bit like a polymer grip. It is actually Kevlar and carbon fiber. They do have an option with an aluminum grip, but this one actually looks just as good and might actually feel a little bit better. We're going to take it out to the range. We're going to get some shots with it, and then we'll come back in and we'll talk about it, because there is a couple of things here that are really unique about this that are actually very cool. It's going to be first couple rounds here with the Kimber. Go ahead. I'm going to try out the 17 round magazine first. I like the way that that sits in there a little more flush, a little bit better. I think I'm going to like that one a little bit better. I'm going to tighten my earplugs up here just a little bit, and I got some of these off to the left. I may have to adjust the sights. This is fresh out of the box, but let's throw another magazine in there and see how it goes. Well, it's smooth. This grip, really a lot of bite in your hand. No trouble holding on to that at all. And everything is off to the left a little bit. We might make just a tiny little adjustment to our sights. Otherwise, it's shooting real good. Let's get into it a little more though. It's very windy out here today, so we'll probably go over the actual features inside, but we'll get a couple more rounds down range for you. Now we'll slow this one down a little bit and try to get focused a little more on accuracy. I can do better than that, but at least I think I can. The gun certainly can. This is shooting really nice, though. I'm really liking this. Really lot of grip in here. I'm kind of glad that I went with the polymer, which is actually not a full polymer. It's actually the Kevlar and carbon fiber versus the aluminum one, which was supposedly not quite as bitey. And don't forget, we're going to compare this with the Staccato as well. We're going to shoot one more mag. This is the 17 round, and it looks like I've got it loaded up full. And then we'll take a look at our target and see how we did. All right, there we go. Let's go take a look at that. All right, so my first, whoop, I'm losing my target here. So my first round here, I just did like those 3 magazine dumps, and you can see they were all off to the left here pretty quick. Those were relatively rapid fire. I did this one then here, we stepped up a little bit closer to get out of the shade, and just for some better lighting. Same with here. Then I slowed it down over here a little bit. We focused a little bit more on actually shooting, and then this last round right here, this is where I really tried to drop that one out there, but every single one of those is in one big hole there, and that was that full 17 round magazine. Everything is to the left of center, so it might need to adjust those sights just a tad bit, but clearly some good grouping. I only brought 400 rounds of 9mm with me to the range today because that seemed like a lot, although with these 20 round magazines that goes pretty fast actually. I'm down to my last 3 magazines, which is okay because my thumb's getting kind of sore as well, so that's a lot to load up in a short amount of time. Let's knock out these last couple magazines. Yeah, the wind got a little bit of dust in my eye, even through my glasses. I got a little bit of a watery eye. But we got a pretty big hole in the target. Not bad for rapid fire, but what you saw on the slow fire, obviously, some very good accuracy. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to head back down to the gun garage. We're going to talk about actual thoughts on this. We'll go over some of the features because it's relatively windy out today, and I'm not sure how good of audio we're getting. I've got my windscreen on, so hopefully it turns out pretty good, but it's definitely pretty windy out. There are some other shooters in the background as well, and it is like 95 degrees out and humid, so some air conditioning would be nice. But so far, I had a lot of fun shooting this. Definitely a lot of fun shooting this. All right, let's go over a few things now. So obviously you saw the gun in action. I really like it. Shoots very good. The disassembly on this is a little bit unique, but they did an excellent job. We'll go through that real quick. It does come with 2 20-round magazines and a 17-round magazine. As you saw, the 20-round magazines stick out a little bit. The 17 does stick out just a hair, but is a lot closer to flush. And there is that 20-round magazine that does stick out a little bit. It did definitely make shooting a 1911 with an 8-round magazine really go through bullets awfully fast once we got used to the 17 or the 20-round magazine. They do have this guide rod here where all you really have to do is push in and turn, and now you have taken all of the tension off of that spring. Pop out your pin here, and then your slide just slides completely off. When you are done, put it back on, push in, it goes this way, push in and turn that, and now you've got your spring tension back on there again. That compresses your spring. If you recall, on the older 1911s, you actually had to put a pin in there or a paper clip or something, especially on the smaller models. The larger ones had a recoil spring that was one piece and you could just pop it out, but on those that had to be compressed, it was kind of a pain in the butt. This is way easier. Very cool. I really like that design. A great feel to it. The back, especially this back strap here, is extremely grippy. You really feel that when you hold on to it, and we compare it to something like the Staccato. Now, you saw my full video on the Staccato, and I loved this gun. This gun shot great. This gun felt great. It is a little bit narrower here than the Kimber is, but if you look at the back of it, you can see we definitely have some serrations there, but we don't have the amount of serrations that we do on the Kimber. So the Kimber definitely felt a lot more planted in my hand than what the Staccato did. And again, the Staccato was a great gun. I really liked it, but comparing side by side, even shooting one in each hand at the same time, a little bit difficult to make a fair comparison because, again, this is the shorter model. This is the 4 1/4 inch barrel versus the 5-inch barrel on the Kimber. So the Kimber obviously had a little bit less recoil, a little bit more weight to it. The Kimber is balanced very, very well. When you hold it down here, it does feel kind of heavy, especially when you've got a loaded 20-round magazine in it. There's definitely some weight to this gun. But once you put it up and you are actually in a firing position, it is balanced so well that it does not feel as heavy as what it really is. And again, it's not that it's that heavy, but there's some weight to it. You know, just the fact that you've got 20 rounds, that's half a box of shells darn near. There's some weight to it here. So when you put it up, though, that balance makes a huge difference, and really makes the extra weight really keeps that muzzle down. Not that a 9mm has that much recoil to begin with, but that helps keep the muzzle down. Also, you can see the serrations in here that are actually real, so we could potentially port this barrel as well. If you look at something like, you've got the 10mm here for the Super Jaeger, also a Kimber. You've got the serrations in the barrel, and you've got actually a ported barrel. On a 10mm, that is very nice. On a 9mm, I don't know that we'd need it, but it does definitely give us that option should we choose to do so. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, well, let me show you here the case it comes with real quick, because we're talking about what it comes with. So those 3 magazines, it comes with a very nice case. You've probably seen this case from some other Kimbers. Oftentimes, Kimber only includes 1 magazine. I've always hated that about a high-priced gun. You know that we want more magazines. I like that they included 3 in here. Kudos to Kimber for that. The other thing I want to mention too, you can see we've got the green sight. It does also come with a red sight that you can put in there as well, although it also comes with the optic plate if you wanted to remove the sight and run an optic on it. So I did mention that it is possibly narrower than a 1911. Is that possible? Let's find out, because here is a 2011 magazine, or a 2K11, right? Double stack. This is a 10mm, but it's the same dimensions as a 9mm. And now look at the difference in that magazine there. And if you look at the difference in the gun, the 1911 definitely looks narrower, but is it actually narrower? Let's find out. I'm going to be measuring right here, right underneath the safety. And let's just snug this down here, right there. So we are at 1.31 inches. I'm going to tighten this down. You can see that I can slip that on and off, but it is snug. And let's put it on our 1911. And we can't quite get it down. It is not much, but let's take another one. So that's actually a 10mm. As I mentioned, it is the same dimensions interiorly, because your magazines are the same. This is actually a 9mm. And how does this one fare? Just slips down on there. Gets a little bit snug right here. So we're talking like millimeters of a difference here. But the 2011 is actually a tad bit smaller. Let's try another. I don't know if this is a 9mm as well. This is also a 9mm. And these are all Kimbers, by the way. And this one here fits on loosely. So we're looking at about a millimeter here that this one is narrower. So it's going to be the difference of the grips, right? Because the frame on these 1911s are going to be the same. But as you can see, this one here gets a little bit snug right at the end. We could force it on, but I don't want to mar those grips. Whereas this one here, you can see fits on there nice. Actually, we must have moved it here a little bit, because now we're a little bit loose. Let's snug that back up. I can see on my dial here I'm a couple of millimeters off. Alright, there we go. Tighten that back up. We can slide that on, and we can slide that off. Let's double check this one again, because this is the one that seemed a little bit loose. And now we're just a tad bit tight on here. But we can still slide it back on to the double stack. Let's look at the... oh, actually, quite a bit. Look at the amount of room in there on the Staccato. So the Staccato is substantially narrower than what a 1911 is. That's crazy for a double stack. What you will notice the difference in here, because the 2011 actually feels a little bit bigger. If we go ahead and measure this same thing here, right, you're going to notice that it is longer. It is a fair amount longer. Looks like we've got, wow. So we are at 2.19 inches here, and that leaves us that much room. So definitely the grip is wider this way, but it is actually narrower, and that surprises me for a double stack to be actually narrower than what a single stack is. That's kind of crazy. The serrations, though, love the serrations in the looks of the serrations in the slide. Actually made it really nice. Wow, whether you choose to pull back over here or over here, really made some nice grips on it. Some great grips over here. Really a great shooting gun, and again that disassembly with that new guide rod on that. All that actually sleeps out of there quite nicely. I'll actually pull this out here and show you if I need to get something here to push this pin in just a tad bit. Can't quite get it with my finger. There we go. This is going to slide out. We're going to slide this right off, and as you can see, that just held our barrel nut came off with that, and everything is just confined in there very nicely. We can just set that off to the side. We can slide our barrel out. We can go ahead, we can clean everything up. You can see I haven't cleaned it yet from having shot it at the range. But everything is, get a little bit of, I should need to clean this up a little bit. But everything comes apart super easy compared to the 1911s. Actually super happy with that. We got to put it back in the right way though, right? There we go. Slide that back in there like so. And that's going to make our disassembly substantially easier. I think I had it right the first time. I thought I didn't have it in the lug, but we do have it in the lug. Trigger, very, very nice, smooth, crisp trigger pull. Just a little bit of slack there in the take-up, and then a very light trigger pull. It's about a 3.5 pound trigger pull compared to the Staccato, which is just a tad over a 4.5 pound. So just about a pound lighter than what the Staccato is. That was actually noticeable at the range. Very, very light trigger pull, very smooth trigger pull, very much like that. So all the things that I didn't like about the gun, sometimes Kimber does not put a real heavy detent inside of their safety here, and when you're shooting it, depending on how you hold the gun, the recoil, if you have your hand right underneath that thumb, right, that safety, your recoil can get you to pop that safety up. I did not have that issue with this at all, and I do keep my thumb typically underneath that safety. That recoil did not pop that safety up at all. There's a nice detent in there. I did not have any issues with that at all, and I know that that can be a case in some, I want to say Kimber specifically, but other 1911s have that too, where they really have a fairly weak detent or spring in their safety, and it can pop up on its own. No issues with that. There's really nothing that I didn't like about this gun other than just the trigger here. If you listen very carefully, you hear that little bit of noise. There's just that tiny bit of side-to-side play. And with this aluminum trigger inside of the aluminum housing here, or stainless, I'm not sure if this is aluminum or stainless trigger, to be honest. I can feel that it's not plastic, but there's just, and I don't know if you can hear that or not, maybe I'll get a little closer, just that tiny bit of play. And you hardly see it move, but you can definitely hear it. Now, if you compare it here to the Staccato, same amount of play, just no noise. And if you take a 1911, there's no play at all in there, and obviously no noise. But if you use this one here, barely noticeable amount of movement, but that tiny bit of noise. And that's the only thing that I really didn't like about this gun, and that's pretty minor when you compare all of the good points of it. So if you're looking for a double stack 1911, obviously the 2011 was coined by Staccato, but the 2K11 or double stack 1911, however you want to verbalize it, this is actually a great gun, really a great option. Probably going to shoot even better and faster with an optic on it. I'm not a big fan of optics, to be honest, especially on a pistol, but they do have the adapter plate for a red dot. I see a lot of people that do put red dots on their 2011s, so that's definitely an option there. But really great fit and finish on here. This color, I believe they call this the graphite. It's very, very good looking. Obviously, looks are always going to be subject to personal opinion, but I really like the looks of the design of this and the color of this with the black, just the gray graphene, right? It's a gray. Looks really good, and again, this feels really, really good in your hand. Really a lot of bite in the back of your palm here. Not too much that it's painful, but a really lot of bite, and you notice that especially after a couple of follow-up shots, you get a nice good squeeze on that grip, and you will notice it in comparison to something else. And again, loved the Staccato, but you can definitely feel the difference here when you go ahead and feel this. There is some grip back here, but you have a lot of smoothness right over here compared to this is a very thin spot, and it's very grippy here and very grippy here, so you really don't feel that lapse in the checkering like you do on the Staccato. This one actually feels better in your hand when you're holding it. This one definitely feels better in your hand when you're firing it because it really has that grip in your hand. So now, we did not have any trouble with the Kimber. I know that Kimber has a bad reputation, at least in certain circles, with jamming. We were at the range for about a little over 400 rounds. Some of those obviously were with the Staccato. So I'm going to say between 350 and 400 went through the Kimber. I did not have a single malfunction. I did not have a single jam. I did not have any issues, period, with firing it. Prior to taking it out to the range, I did disassemble it. I wiped everything down. I got the packing grease, etc., out of it. And then I meant to, at the range, put a couple drops of oil on it. I actually forgot my oil that is supposed to always be in my range bag. I had pulled it out for some reason, and it was not in there. So we actually fired it dry. I did not get to put any oil on it, and still, no malfunction. So I was very happy with the way that it fired. I know that, sometimes Kimbers do have the reputation, at least, for jamming, and that was definitely not the case with this one. So very happy with that. If you are looking for a double stack 1911, definitely check out the Kimber because it's at its price point, which is not cheap, but it is on the lower end of the majority of the other double stack 1911s, and it fires as good or better than some of them. So definitely check this out if you think it's something that you are interested in. If you watch the channel for the first time and you haven't already, you want to, boom, please subscribe.